So, how many chicks have you impressed by your flying skills? So, like,
Well, that is after the podcast. We'll discuss this. So see, there are two routes you can take when you're starting to fly. One is to fly as a hobby, and the second way is to fly commercial.
18 में you get a driving license.
Exactly,
for cars,
yeah,
and
yeah.
16 you take planes.
I'm not sure if I am the youngest pilot. That's why I mentioned one of the youngest. There was a point where I could fly an aircraft, but I couldn't drive a car. Like on paper, your life and the life of the occupants is on you, and it is your call at the end of the day. That is the role of the pilot. So you're flying that every day, and if you have a halt in Delhi or Bangalore or wherever you're having, what are you going to do? Like you're going to visit that maybe 2-3 times a week. How are you going to enjoy that? It's not going to be a fun experience.
I'll basically introduce Shivan afterwards, but I just have a very short announcement to make before this podcast starts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sagar, and I'm your pilot for today's podcast. On behalf of Shivan and the entire crew, welcome on board. This is Indigo's flight non-stop from Chennai to Jaipur. Our flight will be of 2.5 hours, and we'll be flying at an altitude of X meters at a ground speed of Y miles per hour. At this time, make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position and that your seat belt is correctly fastened. Also, your portable electronic devices must be set to airplane mode until an announcement is made upon arrival. Thank you. Also, flight attendants, cabin crew, please prepare for gate departure. Doors are on automatic. Cross check and report. Thank you. So, just tell me, how did I do this? Rate my performance out of 1 to 10.
I'll be a little harsh, but I think maybe 6, maybe 6. 6 works for you. It wasn't bad though. Not bad.
Okay.
कितना टाइम प्रैक्टिस किया है?
Can you do? यार practice नहीं किया, मैं पढ़ के बोल रहा हूँ. To be honest.
अच्छा, okay.
So you can do this in your own style. Do you have an announcement before you make a departure?
Generally, we don't really need to have that. But generally what we say is, if you're talking to the tower, what we say is lined up runway 26, that is Juhu, and ready for immediate departure.
Got it.
That's how we do it.
So basically you just talk to the ATC.
They talk to the ATC, yeah. And make sure the passengers are good at the back, in case like friends or whoever are at the back, yeah. That's about it.
Yeah. Got it. So I'll just give a brief intro of Shivan. So he basically is a guy who just walks out of his college and goes to fly a plane near Juhu. So he's basically flying planes for leisure, and he loves doing that. And I'll be talking to him how and I'm very jealous of the fact that he just walks out of the college and all the chicks are crazy about where is Shivan going, and everyone wants to be in that Cessna 172 which he's flying these days. So, Shivan, welcome to the podcast. I'm welcoming you too many times, but then let's just dive straight into it.
Yeah.
So, the first question is that, dude, you fly Cessna's 172 and you do that after your college, right?
Yeah, that's
Can
correct.
you tell people about how do you do that? What's the context on that?
Okay.
Let's give some context. Yeah.
Okay, so I started flying at the age of 16, which is right after 10th standard. And the basic idea was the first time I sat, my dad is also a pilot, so I sat with him in the cockpit, and it was that addiction which got to me of flying along with him. So that is how it all started, and then I couldn't get my hands off the control. So I was like, I started doing it. I was attending PACE Junior Science College, so which is JE Prep, along with this, and at the same time I actually got into weight training also. So it was basically those 2 years were juggling all of these. And it started off as a hobby. It still is rather. But it's one of the best things. So whenever I get a weekend, so suppose today's plan was to fly to Alibag and back. But the weather wasn't too supportive. So yeah, that was the problem. So we couldn't do that unfortunately, but we flew local and back. So whenever I get time during the weekends, I put aside everything. Agar kuch bhi ho, I was going to tell you कि नहीं आज नहीं करना, आज I want to fly. That is what I rather told you. and and the plan was for today to fly to Alibag and back, or rather Murud. You know where Murud is?
No, it's near Bombay, right? Like obviously it's near Bombay.
It is. So it is. You know Alibag, right?
Alibag, I know. Basically, you need to take a ferry and go to Alibag.
Yeah. So Alibag takes us like maybe 15 minutes to fly to. So this is Murud. So this is like about 25 miles south of Alibag.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah. So that is how I got into it, and to start flying rather. So I started at 16, completed the age for. We'll run through all of this PPL, CPL, but I completed my requirement at age of 17, and here I am.
Yeah. Fuck, dude, like I'm too jealous of you. The first call I had, so when I heard that you are flying at a age, you were flying at the age of 16, I was too jealous, dude. Like I was in my 12th standard or 10th standard preparing for IIT JEE, and you were fucking flying over Alibag and Murud and whatever. Like you had the license to fly, etc. So I'm like just saying this, that I am too jealous of this guy.
I think you mentioned that too many times already. Huh?
Huh?
You mentioned that too many times already. What are you saying?
Yeah. So the thing is that like I'll mention this a couple of times in the podcast, because this podcast is about how much I'm jealous of Shivan flying at a very young age, and this is basically today's podcast about.
Yeah.
So, dude, like a very serious question. Okay, so this question has been like hovering over my mind since like the time we spoke. So, how many chicks have you impressed by a flying six? So, like.
Well, that is after the podcast. We'll discuss this. Yeah.
No, but dude, seriously, that's badass, right? You are just walking out of your college with the key of Cessna 172, and all the chicks are going crazy. How many?
No, so the thing is, okay, so I'll run people through this also. Okay, the thing is, flying, how people think like, they have a good amount of money they make, and so easy, like they just go, plane chalu kiya, and you're in the air. So it is not like that, especially in India, I would say. Abroad, it could be kind of that way. But in India, it's example, think of driving in India, in the chaotic traffic, there's a cow on the road, suppose. So, same way, in India, flying is also the same thing. So, there's too much traffic, it is very unorganized and chaotic. But that's kind of the fun of it. So initially, rather, while you're flying, there is nothing in your mind except maybe just learning how to do it correctly and to fly and survive. Maybe not even like rather jokes apart, still basically to build your ass. See, the most toughest part rather to do this for any pilot rather I would say is you have to do it consistently. Like even the instructors don't expect you to be like the perfect landing I'm getting. Out of 10 you get like 3 perfect landings, 3 terrible landings. I've spoken to a lot of instructors about this. You need consistency. Every landing has to be good enough. It has to be good enough, the landing. It doesn't need to be perfect. So to maintain that over a long period of time is what is required actually. That a lot of people don't figure out maybe.
Yeah. So like let's just since it's the beginning of podcast, I'm sure a lot of people watch it for the entertainment aspect of it. And when we were talking the last time, you told me that there are some quirky things which you found in an aircraft, right?
Yeah.
So let's just dive into the most serious questions of this podcast. So the next question is, what is that ladies you'd have to do? You have to tell the listeners.
Okay. So this is actually when I was discussing with Sagar and we were figuring out rather like the things like I was thinking of about questions to give to Sagar, because Sagar gave me this beautiful list of questions. So I was like, I think we need to have another discussion to go through what questions he's given me. So out of that, when I was thinking about it, I figured there's a lot of things like people know about flying. You can Google most of the things. But something we thought we'll do something different or a little quirky. So we realized was imagine if you're in an aircraft and you're flying for maybe like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Dude, you have to take this on you. You realized, not we.
Yeah. No, so I knew about it. But most people, rather students, won't know about it. But like 3 or 4 hours if you're flying for, or like a good amount of time. And where do you go if you have to take a leak? Okay, so
Correct,
there is
correct.
something called a Little John. So, and it's basically a piss bottle. Okay, and Sagar found this very fascinating for some reason. If he had the liberty, he would have made the whole podcast about it. But so, so the Little John is for guys. It's basically a piss bottle. It is uncomfortable. I have never used it, and I plan not to. But it is
Dude,
basically.
you would, right? Like you can't have the urge to piss and you want to land because you want to piss. You have to
You
use
can't.
it.
You can't. Yeah. So you can't. So, but the thing is, it is uncomfortable. Imagine sitting in a cockpit, two guys. Okay, the cabin is 44 inches wide. Okay, and y'all are basically sitting about 6 inches apart, shoulder to shoulder. Not even that much, rather, in most cockpits. So
Correct.
you're sitting like really close to in a Cessna, and there is no washroom for you. So you're pissing next to a guy,
Yeah.
who is like 6 inches next to you. I don't know how that works and how it was practical. But what
Yeah.
coming to what you were talking about, the Lady J adapter, that is an adapter for females, and I think most people could figure it out or Google it about what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like there's a website which sells this off, right? Can you also
Yeah,
mention that website? And before you do that, I just want to tell people what Cessna is, because Cessna is what Shivan flies, and anyone who wants to train to become a pilot, that's the plane which like pilots fly when they are on their training period. So Cessna is this very full small aircraft, and just visualize a small white aircraft which you have seen in movies, which is flown by which can be flown by two people, and there's space of like 4 people in, right?
So basically, it's like a private car. A lot of people in the US have private aircrafts, which are mostly Cessnas. Cessnas are the most widely used training aircraft in the world. So they're using them since the 1960s or maybe late 50s, if I'm not wrong. And most produced aircraft has like a ton of records to its name. And I think we discussed this earlier also. Crazy records, like the endurance record set on a Cessna. Even I cannot believe how it was set. And I wouldn't even want to get close to it, because that makes me feel like I might have to use the Little John, which I am not willing to. So the record was, as far as I know, about 64 days.
Fuck it, dude. Like I was like telling people to pause this video here and then guess the record time in the comment section, so that it spikes and it gives them more
It's
but
okay.
anyways.
I'll give you Sagar's guess though. Sagar, I think, guessed what? You guessed 12 hours? No, I don't think anyone is going to guess it. Whoever is going to get it, even close, is going to Google it and try to get it. Because there's no chance I feel that. Because I wouldn't have guessed it. It was 64 days, if I'm not wrong, and 22 hours, something like that. It's crazy, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Cessnas, very popular, simple aircrafts to fly, to train on. So any pilot you see, commercial pilot, he has started flying on a trainer aircraft, built approximately 180 to 200 hours, and then done his type rating, joined an airline.
Correct. So, just giving some context to the listeners, what endurance flights are. So basically, people try to fly the Cessnas or any aircraft basically for the longest time ever. So the record for that, which Shivan mentioned, is 64 days and 22 hours. So basically, there was a guy who flew Cessna 172 for 64 days and 22 hours. Obviously, that's not like the plane got off the ground and flew for 64 days, because that's not possible.
Yeah.
The plane got on the ground and then it went back again, and there were 2 pilots operating that, and this happened for 64 days and 22 hours. Dude, like they didn't took a bath or something? This is a genuine question.
There are a lot of technicalities which I don't know about how they figured out. I mean, think about it. There are too many other things also, apart from having a bath and basically living in an aircraft, 2 guys switching and flying, and basically they refueled also, as far as I know, is while they were rolling.
Yeah.
So like they landed, they were rolling, they refueled while rolling, and then they took off again. So they did not stop for 64 days.
Yeah, and they're basically using the same Little John like multiple times. So,
Exactly. And just to give you context, I have seen, or rather myself experienced it. I have seen that 45 minutes, like initially a student, they fly for 45 minutes, 1 hour, you're exhausted. Okay. And as far as I know, I consider myself an athlete. So I can maybe like cycle for hours to a stretch, like go running. I play a lot of sports. But to do that, like 1 hour, 1.5 hour, you're drained, completely drained. Initially, at least.
Right.
So it is exhausting. So them doing it for 64 days, I cannot imagine what went to their
Very
head.
exhausting.
Hmm.
Yeah. But dude, like they are flying for 64 days, 22 hours, right? So there has to be a bare minimum level on which they fly, because you also told me in the last call that if you fly over a certain height, there are chances of hypoxia and the oxygen levels
correct,
might
that's
decrease.
correct.
So let's say like in a regular case, that might not happen, but then like at a certain height, the oxygen levels definitely reduce.
Yeah, that's correct.
To also maintain a particular height for 64 days, 22 hours, it's not very, it's very difficult to do that. So is there a height where these guys flew for 64 days and
Okay,
22
so
hours?
there is nothing. I have not read about it, but there's nothing optimum as such. And just to give context, hypoxia is lack of oxygen to the brain. After
Correct.
which the person slowly he feels sleepy, he feels drowsy, and then passes off. So like he just faints rather almost. He'll go into a very deep sleep, and I mean that is very dangerous, hypoxia. So they wouldn't obviously fly. So hypoxia, you can't fly more than 14,000 feet without oxygen. So they must have figured that out how they had to do it. So you don't need to fly that high. And what flying we do also, like general flying, what I'm talking about, what training flights happen, we generally do not cross, rather our aircrafts also don't cross more than 10,000 feet.
Correct. Like 14,000 feet is where, so basically the entire scenario is that if you go above 14,000 feet, you will basically lose all your senses, and that's a very dangerous situation.
No, so
And so is that one of the reasons why, there's a co-pilot? Like this is one of the reasons, right?
So see, not necessarily, but yeah, you can consider it. So basically, a safety factor is 2 pilots to instead of operating 1. But the thing is, above 14,000 feet is not necessary. So hypoxia depends on person to person. So example, a smoker might experience it at 6.5, 7,000 feet, which is half of it, like a heavy smoker. Versus somebody could maybe be fine at 14,000 feet, 15,000 feet also for like an X amount of time, like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it depends on person to person, and but the air gets thinner.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So, like moving on to the next question. So, you also mentioned that there is mid-air refueling, which happens when there's a very heavy aircraft. So, let's say Trump's aircraft flies off, and to not have breaks in between, there's a small aircraft which carries fuel, and basically refueling happens mid-air. So, just visualize it. For all the listeners, you can visualize that Need for Speed scene where that there are 2 cars. There's a big Jeep in which they are carrying all the oil, and there's a Camaro which is
Exactly.
Is very fast. And therein that big Jeep comes in, the Camaro slows down, and the big Jeep transfers its fuel into this Camaro so that it doesn't lose on time. And this is what happens mid-air also.
That's correct.
And you told me this. Like, how does this happen? This was very stimulating for me. I couldn't think of that scenario, and I wanted you to come in and tell us how does that process happen?
Okay, so basically there are 2 ways it is done, but I'll just give a rough idea. So you can Google it and check it out. But the rough idea is there is something called a boom. Okay, so basically a long tube. There are 2 aircrafts. Okay, so one is the aircraft getting refueled, and one is the tanker, or like a very big aircraft which holds that fuel capacity which can refuel the other aircraft. So there is a boom, and there is a boom operator who will basically he has to control the boom in such a way that he can he has to refuel the aircraft. So it's a pretty complicated if you get into it deep, and we are also not like really trained or supposed to know this, but actually I'm pretty sure there are a few action movies which have shown this. I have a recollection of it, but basically mid-air, both the aircrafts have to fly in formation. So formation flight is when 2, like you must have seen, suppose Blue Angels or like many Air Force planes, they fly together, so that is called in formation. So formation they have to fly in, match your speed, match your height, and then the boom operator will refuel the other aircraft mid-air while in
Yeah.
flight. So
Yeah.
this is basically done if the aircraft requires like more range, so he can, or many times when there's a lot of high payload. So suppose there is a basic weight, there's a basic weight which you can take off at. Okay, so they can, if they are taking in whatever arms and ammunition or whatever they are carrying on board on the aircraft, so they can carry more of that, take off at a lighter weight, so they can climb faster, and then once they are cruising, they will get refueled, so they get a crazy amount of range.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So basically, like they just go up, defuel, and come back because they can't sustain in the air for a longer run because the fuel is already passed on to the bigger aircraft.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, let's say there are 2 points, A and D, right? And this guy flies from A point and has to reach the D point. There's something between B and C point from where this small aircraft will fly off, come to that, refuel it, and land on, let's say, C point,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Got it. So, like every time we used to, like, so when we were traveling to college, there was a joke amongst us that, do planes have keys like cars? And we used to, imitate the same things which happen in a car with a plane. तो हम लोग बोलते थे कि the pilot को बोल कि मतलब वो मारुति की खिड़कियां आती थी ना जैसे मतलब just roll it and we want to experience the atmosphere and just open the windows and we want to do that. Like how much similarity does a car and a plane have? Like this is a very noob question. I'm sorry for that, but like I genuinely am very interested कि car और plane में क्या क्या similarity?
Yeah, I've actually got this question before, but yeah, so a plane does have keys. I will say that the plane does have keys. And the window ka thing actually depends a lot on your airspeed, what you're flying at. But a Cessna, you can open your window at any speed. So like at any speed possible. Yeah. So our VNE, which is never exceed, is about 163 nautical miles. Okay. So at till 163 you can open your window. So basically at any speed you can open your window in flight. And there's a very funny incident related to this. Didn't happen with me, but I heard another pilot tell me this. There was he was flying with somebody, another friend or whoever, and they were excited. Their first time in this small aircraft. They were excited to take a picture, okay, of something. So they opened the picture, and the next thing phone उड़ गया उसका window के बाहर.
Oh.
So because they're so fast, so he must have put his phone out, which is a very stupid thing to do. And it must have just flown off. You can't hold it. It's too fast. It's like how you're going on the highway at maybe 100, 150 kilometers an hour. Rather not 150, 100 kilometers or 80 kilometers an hour. And you put your hand out of the window. Something like that. But this is at maybe 200 plus 250 kilometers an hour.
वो फोन गया उसका बाहर?
गया iPhone गया.
Like, did you find the phone and you get the picture?
No, you're mad or what? Kidhar? You're flying at suppose 2,000-3,000 feet. Kidhar milne wala hai? It's crazy.
Okay,
2,000-3,000 feet is like a 200-story building. Like for context, if you're counting.
Correct. Excuse me for my lame questions, dude. Like I'm just gonna have a podcast which is filled up of lame questions related to aviation. Yeah. So, there's another question which I have. Dude, like let's say I have to become a pilot at this particular age, right?
Yeah.
How does someone do that? Because a lot of listeners might as well, so when I was talking to you, you told me that anyone can get a license in a particular amount of time and they just have to pay like 5 lakh rupees and they can fly for leisure. They can't do it for domestic, like they can't do it for commercial planes, but then they can do it for pleasure.
Okay.
Also, you told me that there's this, you can just take a flight from Juhu, fly to Alibag and come back, and everyone can do it. On a Saturday and Sunday, you can grab lunch there and you can come back. How does someone do that? Like, what's the process of getting there?
Okay. So see, there are 2 routes you can take when you're starting to fly. One is to fly as a hobby. And trust me, that is, I think, if you have a set career, that is the way to go. And the second way is to fly commercial. Okay, so flying it is very interesting. Like if you're considering it as a hobby, it is a very interesting thing. So what you're doing is a PPL. But the difference between a PPL and CPL is you cannot fly for higher reward or remuneration. Basically, you cannot take a job on the basis of a PPL. Whereas a CPL you can take a job. That's the basic difference. So the advantage of
These
PPL
are the
is
kind of licenses.
you can fly to X whatever place you want to go to. So from A to B you can fly to. Take your friends along, take your family along, whoever you want to go with. Basically like a driver's license where you go from wherever you want to, like drive your car and go. You have to be that adventurous to do that.
Correct.
But yeah, so that is one option. To do your PPL is a very simple procedure. You have ground classes only on Saturdays and Sundays for 3 months, and you have to do totally 40 hours of flying. And then after that is up to you. So I know a lot of PPL holders who fly on the weekends have built like crazy amount of like maybe 500, 600, 700 hours just for fun. And
so 40 hours is for training, and then you can fly as much as you want.
Then
and
basically-
you get a PPL license.
yeah, so basically then you build experience, and then you can technically after doing that also you can give your CPL and get it done. So that is the way to do it. So
Got
that is how I went about it also. Go do your PPL first because the age limit for starting is 16. So you can do your PPL first and then you can give your CPL. So you can start earlier.
Good,
But-
like this is weird, right?
Sorry?
This is very weird. Because like 18 mein you get a driving license
Exactly,
for cars,
yeah,
and
yeah.
16 you get getting for planes.
Yeah, there were a few
What the
people
fuck,
telling me
dude?
that. There was a point where I could fly an aircraft but I couldn't drive a car. Like on paper,
Dude,
on
like
paper.
you're all that
Huh?
you're all badass walking out of the college, and you know you basically have to call a Uber or Ola to go to that aircraft and fly that.
Yes, that's
You
correct.
can't
On
fly
paper,
your-
I had to do that. Yeah.
This is nice, dude. And then that guy also, drops his phone out of the plane. Like too many weird things happening at the age of 16.
Yeah. But yeah.
Shivan, like, do you have you flown anything else apart from Cessna 172?
Okay, so I have flown and I have got my solo on the Cessna 172. There are a few variations of that aircraft. Okay, so I have got that. Like suppose example, BMW. So BMWs have their regular 5 Series and a M5, if you may. Okay, so same way, there is Cessna 172. Call it as an M series. So I have flown that, which is crazy powerful and a lot of fun to fly. It's like a regular Cessna. Is actually, if you go to see on paper, it is 160 to 180 horsepower depending on the model, which is actually sounds really low. And this one is a 210 horsepower Cessna. So that is another variation. I've flown of Cessna 172. Other aircrafts I've flown a Cessna 152A. So that is an Acrobat. So you can do maneuvers and stunts on that aircraft technically, but I wouldn't trust that. So it's a very old aircraft now.
So what are the kind of stunts you can do on that?
You can technically do a barrel roll on it and a loop on it.
You flip. You basically flip the aircraft.
Yeah. So you could do a barrel roll. You can do a loop. You could do a chandelle. You can do a lazy 8. You could do the basics rather. You could do it on that. I wouldn't trust that aircraft, but you could do that on it. And then I've flown. I don't have the endorsement as of now, but Cirrus SR22. Then I have flown a DA42 Diamond. I'm actually getting my endorsement on that. So yeah.
In my endorsement, like what happens when you get an endorsement for
Okay.
flying that?
Okay, so basically each aircraft you fly, you need to give a written exam on each of them, and then after you clear that, you have to do training on that particular aircraft, depending on its weight
40
category.
hours of, right?
Sorry?
There's 40 hours of flying which you have
No,
to
you don't need to do 40. So once you have PPL on that, you can get multiple aircrafts. So you don't need to do 40 hours on each aircraft. Depending on the aircraft and the weight category, you have to do very few hours. Few landings, depending on the type. So like a 152 is pretty easy to adapt to after flying a 172. So it depends on the aircraft, but nothing close to 40 hours.
Got it. So the process says that you have to get a PPL license, and then you can go for, like, you basically get a PPL license after 40 hours of flying a particular aircraft, which is this Cessna 172.
Yeah.
And then post that you can get it for any other plane, which is for a shorter duration. Like that time reduces from 40 to something else. Right?
Yeah, so basically it's upgrading your license. So you get different aircrafts on your license.
Yeah. Got it. So I think people need to adapt to this entire culture of flying and flying from Juhu to Alibag. I think like I need to sort of promote this particular part so that you get less flying us, since I'm very jealous of you, so that a lot of people come and reserve that particular area. A lot of people don't know that, dude. मतलब हमको leisure करना होता है, we go to restaurants, movies, etc. But no one knows that you can actually take a plane.
Yeah.
You can fly that with your family and come back to a particular location again.
That's
and
correct.
That's for very cheap.
So,
like that's 5 lakhs.
Yeah, so your basic training cost, depending, see, so your 5 lakhs, what you're saying is because I'm considering it from BFC, which is a non-profit organization. So their charges are pretty low that way. So because of that, but depending on wherever flight school you're doing, whatever they charge you per hour, you can multiply it by your 40 and get the figure. So yeah, so that way. And so yeah, it's pretty simple that way. And then there's like a flying community, which I mean is in place of being built rather for the PPL holders, and I'm touching with a lot of those guys. So maybe soon, hopefully, by the time you become a pilot. But so basically, there are a lot of people who fly for fun. So you can have a friend. Suppose maybe you are a pilot. So we can make a plan. Chal, Sunday ko where do you want to go fly to? So you can just go fly to some place, maybe land, maybe eat something there and come back. So that is maybe the best way to do it. I mean, there are a lot of people who are successful in their fields who take this up as a hobby, and then it's amazing.
Yeah, and like it's not even costly for per flight basis. Like you told me that for an hour, like it costs around 12,000 rupees. Right?
Yeah, so depending on flight school to flight school, maybe 15,000 rupees per hour. And in 1 hour, you can travel a good amount of distance. So you take like maybe 15-20 minutes to go to Alibag. So maybe you can go, Daman takes 45 minutes. So you can go pretty far away, wherever you want to.
Got it. So like how much did you mention again? Can you come again? Like 1 hour के लिए कितना cost है?
12,000 approximately. 12 to 15 depending on your flight school to flight school.
Got it. Like it depends on the aircraft also.
Yeah, depends on the aircraft for sure. Yeah. So a multi would be maybe 2-3 times the cost. So yeah.
And how many people can ideally sit in that?
In what? In the Cessna?
In the other aircraft which you mentioned.
So most of them are 4-seaters, 4 or 6-seaters.
Got it. So these aircrafts, like, right? So I have always seen that I'm a layman dude. Like, so I only fly Indigo or like AirAsia, and this is what my flying is restricted to.
Okay.
So I have always seen that there are some mini trucks which have that reverse push on the front wheel, and that basically pushes the tire of the aircraft.
Yeah.
Do Cessnas have reverse gear? Like, do they reverse on their own?
No. So a Cessna doesn't have a reverse gear, but the Cessna, I'm saying, it is a small aircraft. Okay. So a Cessna, depending on whichever Cessna, but most of them are like roughly 1,000 kilos below, like depending on what aircraft you're talking about. But all these smaller aircrafts that people use for a hobby flying are that light. So we push the aircrafts in and out of the hangar. Like a गाड़ी जैसे को push करे. These are lighter than your car. So you push it in and out of the hangar, the aircraft. So yeah, so abroad, like right now, we have a lot of people to help us. So we have engineers, we have some technicians. All of them help us out, get the aircraft out. But abroad, many people do it by themselves. All of this, depending on where you're flying out of. So and it's very simple. So like many of them, you call like a filler truck abroad, and they come, they refuel your aircraft, and then you fly to wherever you want, go there, then maybe you have to refuel again, come back. So it's pretty simple that way. Actually, it's a whole culture of this general aviation, which the concept hasn't come to India yet.
Yeah, correct. And it needs to come. Like people need to experience this part of.
Yes, partly yes, partly no, because the thing is, abroad how it is, it's actually a very good system, but it's very tough to implement in India. So many people flying so casually. Over here it doesn't work like that. So here where I am flying in Juhu is one of the busiest bases. So you have your Spartan Control on one side, you have your Mumbai, you have your VABB or Mumbai International Airport, and you have Juhu. All of these are in like a 5 mile, 7 mile radius. So it is crazy congested. So you have to, if you want permission to go from maybe Juhu to go to your Alibag, you have to contact Mumbai because you're crossing over. Then from Mumbai you contact Spartan. Spartan ke baad then you're free to go. So that actually is not the case in most aerodromes. It's very casual. And in the US, if you're flying maybe VFR out of maybe, they are like airstrips everywhere. So you're flying out of that, most of them are not even on radio for flying. So it's a way more casual, not comparable at all. So here it is a lot more, you have to be attentive, lot more pressure. People are a lot more scared also. And they're more precautious over here.
Why do you say so? Why do you say like the people are more scared here?
Because of the traffic, I would say, yeah. Because of the traffic, it's way too much traffic in a very small amount of place. Like there, it's spread out, and there are like hundreds of strips. In India, there aren't too many airstrips that way, and they are very nucleated. Like you see, Juhu mein ek hai, then your Mumbai International uske baaju mein hai, and there's a lot of traffic in both of these. Mumbai International is one of the busiest, and Juhu takes care of all the this thing. What do you call oil rig and all of the offshore operations.
Correct. And like Juhu has very like the runway which is there in Juhu, you told me is very short for flight.
So there are a lot
it's very unsafe.
It's not unsafe. No, I wouldn't say that. It has too many complications, I would say. So it doesn't have a regular circuit pattern. So I don't know if you have seen maybe in a what do you call a circuit pattern, right? So circuit pattern is where an aircraft takes off. We turn left, and turn left again. So make a full circuit around, like a NASCAR car which goes like keeps going left, like in a loop. Same way we do that. It's called a circuit pattern. Okay, so our circuit pattern is untraditional. So it's on the right, which is all right. It's not a problem. And the problem is it's a little broken because of the Mumbai International besides. So we have to. It's not a complete circuit pattern. So it's a little shorter. And the runway is also a little shorter, so it becomes a little more trickier. I wouldn't say unsafe, it's just you have to be careful and it's a little tricky. You need a little more practice, I would say. That is why a lot of people don't fly out of Juhu. There are very few fixed wing aircraft flying out of Juhu. It's all mostly helicopter traffic. Maybe 1 or 2 aircraft flying out of Juhu. Single engine fixed wing.
Yeah. Got it. So, like a lot of runways in India are short also, like they are unsafe for landing. Like the one which, the recent crash which happened in the Calicut runway, right? That was something which was very tragic, and there are some runways like that. Can you quickly sort of list down these runways which are really short?
Okay, nice. Just to
how can like
sorry? No, so just to clarify, it is not unsafe as per se. Like I wouldn't say it's unsafe. It is shorter. So what do you call your cushions? What do you call it? Or like a safety ke liye what you have that extra space. It is a little lower in the sense that you have to act a little quicker. And if you see ideal scenario, the runway like what ideal space you require, it's more than enough. Then they have suppose a 10% cushion. Maybe depending, I'm not talking on one specific airport. 10% cushion. Uske liye bhi there is place. Like there is place for that. But after that, there isn't utna. Like in the sense the margins are lower.
So basically, we're talking about the short runways. Like, can you tell us like how does I'm just saying that Indian government needs to do something about it.
Okay.
Like the recent crashes.
Yeah. So see, the thing is that these runways, rather in at least the busier cities, like suppose you take Juhu for an example, there is no place rather to extend that runway. That is the issue. So we are already at like the maximum usable space is being used presently. So
correct.
Exactly. So that is a problem. So like suppose Juhu runway, it ends exactly, and where it ends, Juhu beach starts. So there is no place where they can extend that runway. And there was a plan which I think will remain a plan. I heard this when I was like maybe 10 years old. But the plan was, and it come in the paper also, if I'm not wrong. There was a plan to extend it over the water. Which I mean sounds really fascinating, but I don't think that is going to happen anytime soon. So
yeah, you told me this is happening for Juhu as well. Like they were planning for Juhu beach also.
Yeah, for Juhu only, for Juhu only.
Small. they'll basically cut a small, road from the beach, and then that will extend as a runway.
Exactly. So they are planning to make that whole thing a bigger runway. So that I wouldn't say is viable. The runways previously built cannot be extended at this point in time. The weather is not too good. Okay, I can directly tell anybody I want to कि नहीं, I can't do the flight. Okay, it's all my preference. It's all the pilot's choice.
Correct.
If I think that this visibility, maybe it's supposed 4,000, I think maybe I can't land at 4,000. It is the pilot's choice. In the sense, if he's not comfortable, he doesn't have to do something like that. Risks maybe 200-300 people's life in danger.
Correct.
And that is for any case. Like you're flying with 2 people at the back of 200 people at the back. Your life and the life of the occupants is on you, and it is your call at the end of the day. That is the role of the pilot. A pilot, if I may, like at least the commander, he takes all the decision. He supervises. Like technically, work-wise, he's not doing a lot of work. Like maybe you'll tell your boss कि नहीं ये तो काम नहीं करता, मैं इससे ज़्यादा काम करता हूँ. You might have thought that many times, but it is all his responsibility many times. So what he's taking, he's bearing all that responsibility. Anything goes wrong, it's his name. That is what the captain is.
Yeah, exactly. Have you flown through the black clouds? Like, have you been in an air?
No, so see, if there is a towering cumulus, okay, so we at least have to be away from it maybe by like about 25 nautical miles, which is 50 kilometers. We have to divert just to go around it. So a pilot will never make such a choice to go into something like that. He will choose the best patch to go through while saving with the fuel in consideration, like how much he has and the amount of time. He will make the right choice. And flying, it depends on aircraft to aircraft. So if you're comparing for a bigger aircraft, they have a lot of standbys. So the chance of something to go drastically wrong is very minimal, I would say. So if they have a standby, suppose we spoke about this G-Shock with an altimeter.
Yeah.
Okay, so the altimeter on the G-Shock, we have that, suppose this एक altimeter है. जैसे in the aircraft we have suppose 3 separate ones. Okay. So they have एक fail हुआ तो दूसरा है, दूसरा fail हुआ तो तीसरा है, वैसा. Okay. They are not relying on one instrument. Whereas in a smaller aircraft, maybe you have only one altimeter. Okay. But the safe side, rather the good part about these smaller aircrafts is I can land it suppose on a beach in the worst case, like a worst case scenario. Instead of like some major, like a mayday call, I can land on a beach. Whereas such a big aircraft, heavy aircraft, in the likely case of 3 or 4 things failing together, which is very difficult. If something like that happens, for him to land it safely is very difficult. So that is the basic difference. But the chance of imagine so many things failing at once is almost impossible. Got it. How people join as flying is first thing you do before you apply in a flying school is you do your medical and you do your police clearance. Okay, so medical clearance is like the topmost priority. So you have to be medically fit all the time. And one more myth, what people think is if I have glasses or specs, I cannot become a pilot. That is not correct. Yeah. So basically, you can fly with perfect correctable vision. So with glasses, you should have 6-on-6 vision. And you have to carry a spare with you at all times. Yeah. So that is the thing. And as you approach the age, if you're like a single pilot, maybe you fly smaller aircraft. So after the age of 40, you have to do medical every 6 months. Generally, it's 1 year, every 1 year for a class 1 medical. Yeah. So basically, you have to be medically fit, BMI under 25 and such. Got it. So that is a very big requirement. So, like all the pilots are doing medically fit, no issues as such, which is actually a very good thing because your health stays in check for most of these pilots because of that, because their job relies on it. Yeah, the lifestyle is too good. Like you can, your health is good, and you are basically on a beach of Bali, shirtless, etc. Like you can do a lot of stuff. Sorry. So basically, I'm saying that like pilots have a good life. All in all, like they can fly to any particular place, and they can go to any destination. They can do a lot of things which would happen at that particular place, and they have so much to explore, right? No, so to clear up the misconceptions, like pilots or rather for even aerosters, people think, oh, we'll travel the world, we'll go here, there. So the thing is, the thing is that isn't right. So suppose most of the pilots, suppose you work in Indigo, okay, Indigo, very good airline. You are flying. Suppose most of the pilots they fly Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai. Example, that is their daily. So you are flying that every day. And if you have a halt in Delhi or Bangalore or wherever you're having, what are you going to do? Like you're going to visit that maybe 2-3 times a week. How are you going to enjoy that? It's not going to be a fun experience. Like how people think कि नहीं we'll explore new places. आज मैं Maldives जा रहा हूँ. Kal I'm going to New York. It doesn't work like that.
This doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, so most of these guys just fly locally inside India and they go from one place to another, Bombay, Delhi, whatever, and continuous like you're flying.
Yeah.
So it isn't exciting. What I have noticed, I would say as a positive is these guys, all these skinny boys, when they start flying, and they get really jacked when they are maybe few years into it. Because they get to live in good hotels, okay, and they get good food to eat, and they have access to a gym, and that is all they do. A lot of that.
But that's still a very good lifestyle. Right?
That is pretty good, barring the fact that your sleep schedules are really messed up.
Yeah, that's true. Like you would have a flight at
2 a.m. Like you would have to wake up at 2 a.m. for the 6 a.m. flight.
Yeah, like maybe 2-3 hours before the flight you have to wake up. So they have a flight at 5 a.m. That is the worst. So you can't even really sleep.
Yeah.
Or you can't even. Maybe it's messed up.
Correct.
So yeah, that is one factor for commercial aircrafts, commercial pilots.
Yeah.
If you would have to explain the cockpit, right? Let's say you have to explain
the planes which generally 737s, right? Or let's say any other Boeing aircraft's cockpit to a small child, how would you do that? Like how would you divide the modules and do that?
Okay. So okay, I'll actually do that. That's a pretty interesting thing. I'll get a photo of cockpit in front of me and you can put it up on the screen. Okay.
Sure.
So this I'll explain a 172 car cockpit, and based on this you can technically understand any aircraft car cockpit. This is the most basic thing you can find. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So see, as you look at the cockpit, you have the most prominent thing, at least from me right now, is you have two control columns. Okay. Two control sticks, control columns, whatever you call it. Okay. So that is used to control the aircraft, and the aircraft has 3 axes of rotation. So you can pitch it up, pitch down, so which is going up and going down, roll left, roll right, like how we discussed the barrel roll. So you roll left, you roll right, pitch up, pitch down. Okay, and then you have your left, your right. Okay, so there are 3 axes of rotation, and so you can do 2 of them with your control column, and your rudder is controlled in your feet. So your brakes and your rudders are together. Okay. And okay, so those are your basics.
By the way, I'm not able to see the picture.
Like, can you send it to me on WhatsApp also? Like, I'll be also
able to sync in.
Okay, ठीक है. I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so how would I stop the aircraft?
Like I know how to fly it now.
Yeah, so stop. Okay, so what I said was your rudder pedals. So you can put up a photo of your rudder pedals also. So basically एक गाड़ी में जैसे accelerator होता है वैसे accelerator and brake, that way you have 2 pedals at the bottom, and they are used for your rudder and for braking.
Got it. Okay.
So that is how you brake on the ground. Yeah. It's actually pretty simple. Once you fly, or rather once you sit in the cockpit, you know the experience, you come to know. So there are a lot of people actually, to do this, it's a very good concept. A lot of people do joyrides. So you can go there, you can get like an aerial tour. So that is a pretty fun experience around Mumbai or around whatever you're flying over. So you get to experience, like if the pilot is good enough, he'll tell you, like if he's rather interested and he's having fun, he will tell you that how each thing works. If you are also inquisitive, he'll tell you how it works, what he's doing right now, and basically give you the rest of the tour also of the city. So that's a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, I'm sure. This is quite interesting, dude. Like, I just want to get out there and get the license. Like, if I have a time like that, I would definitely, invest.
Yeah,
in
sure. When you're
learning
next
all of
next time when you're back in Mumbai, we'll fly. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we will fly, dude. Like, you have to take me in one of the, flights, and I'll basically be clicking photos without dropping my phone in midair, and then I'll learn how to fly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually is a must-do experience. I feel like you have to now. Now, once you're
100%.
so into it, you will. Once you
Yeah.
fly it now, I give you controls. You will also feel like flying for sure. Definitely, like guarantee.
Yeah, I would love to do that, dude. Like, we'll just go to Alibag and just chill for a while and then come back.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in Mumbai, I'm just doing this. Like, I need to put this, out there on social media that I flew a plane and without a license. And then I would be learning it. So yeah, that's
You'll go mad. You'll love it. You'll be like, "Chal Mumbai shift kar ho jata hu." Aja, we'll fly together.
Yeah, we will do that, bro. We will definitely do that.
Hmm.
Let's plan that out. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
you'll have to now. I mean, you're way too invested already.
I'm way too invested.
Yeah.
Matlab, I wanted to, like, I had this particular infatuation with planes at particular point in time, like every kid has, right?
Yeah.
To fly a plane. So I had that, and once I got to, when I was searching for people who I can have a podcast with, I got to your profile and I was like, fuck, dude, youngest pilot of India, kyun likha hai? I went to your profile, I talked to you, dude, like from that particular time till now, I'm too invested in this entire process of how to get that PPL license.
That's true. I think you will get invested. And by the way, I'm not sure if I am the youngest pilot. That's why I mentioned one of the youngest, because I have no clue. But I'm pretty sure I have more stars at my age, so that's good enough. Yeah.
One of the youngest pilot who has too many, people, like who makes a lot of people jealous of his entire process. Just mention that in the link.
No, so engineering balances it out. So the cool factor is cancelled out by engineering.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're running in negative presently, though. Yeah.
Correct. That's true. I'm running way negative. Like, dude, like the day I get the pilot license, right? That is the day when I'll actually get to zero. Like,
that's true. It has to balance it out.
Yeah.
Right now it's sad, dude.
Yeah.
Like engineering, many times I'm like, after I'm done with engineering, I'm like, I'm done with this. I go flying a little bit, then okay, nice. Then I'm back to normal.
Yeah.
I need it like once, twice a week, so chahiye. I have to fly
100%.
kind of.
Yeah. And dude, like, I plan to stay in touch with you, and we will do that flying together, and let's stay in touch. And I'm glad that I meet people like you through LinkedIn, and I am able to call them for podcast.
Yeah, happy to do it, man. That was fun experience.
Yeah, dude, like, this is a great experience because I get to learn a lot. Last time I had
Actually, most people don't know, but I got to learn a lot from you regarding marketing and such. Which was actually,
Dude, like
I like learning something new. I don't know if you realize, but I'm pretty inquisitive. Like, I need to know something.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm just asking questions all the
Likewise,
time.
dude. Yeah.
Actually, next time I'll
And,
flip it up. Now, next time, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I'll bombard you with them.
100%. Whenever you need this.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for being a part of this, Shivan.
Anytime.
That we met in this way, and we will continue to, make some plans around flying, and maybe we fly a plane together, all of that. And thanks a lot, brother.
Anytime, yaar. Next time in Mumbai, just hit me up. We'll go flying in Mumbai now. Next time, I don't know when, but jab bhi aana hai, aaja, abhi I'm free.
Done, bro, done.
Yeah,
100%.
It's fun experience though. Thanks a lot for inviting me to the podcast.
Yeah. Likewise, bro.
Yeah. Thanks, dude, man. That was fun.